Hey, so Simon here. I am at Narita Airport Terminal 2. I am about to head to Dalian, which I learned from my recent trip to, let me see if I can correct the brightness on that. I don't think I can. Which I learned on my recent trip means no Google, no Facebook, no Twitter or anything like that. So I can't do the show tonight because I'm going to be obviously I'm about to fly Sunday morning. But I feel I'll give you a taste of what I would do. So first thing is make sure you go and of course get the wonderful Flipboard app, which you can get on Android or iOS or anything like that, and or you can actually follow the magazine on the web, and you know the links are always actually in the video information I've got for all my videos, so you can find that. Go and check out my Tokyo Tonight topics, which this week looks like that. Boom. Is that Jay Philosopher who did this one? Phil Nolan. I think this is Phil Nolan 3D did this one a while ago. It's an awesome cover anyway, so that is my cover. And I think we're going to quickly go through the stories, but yes, it's going to be a total internet blackout, so it's a little bit tough for me. I'm going to be away for 1 week. Dalian is super cool, and I'll talk about it when I get back. I'll take some videos and stuff like that. Very Japan-friendly city and so on. But yes, so stories that I've got here. Baffling Japanese business buzzwords. I guess I could go into that in detail, but I'm just going to give you a walkthrough. I'm not going to actually go into too much detail on these. There's a story here on the Immigration Bureau warns against false deportation rumor targeting ethnic Koreans. There's actually, even Gakuranman was asking on the internet about a lawyer friend who heard that permanent residence visas were being withdrawn. That seems to be this rumor that was going around on some right-wing sites on the internet, that a lot of people believe that the special status of Korean and Chinese zainichis was being revoked in Japan. By the way, the sound of this is going to be crap, so I apologize for that. Of course, a phony rumor, but it was going around with this fake news, and the immigration kind of reported an overstay hotline, which apparently got flooded, so the immigration had to release a statement saying this is not true. Kind of nasty and sad to hear, but a lot of people believed it by the sounds of it. So yeah, apologies this week from Mitsubishi Materials, both the US POWs, or in fact there was POWs who worked as forced labor in their factories, as well as Chinese. The Chinese apology was separate because there's actually an ongoing court case, which they also agreed in the same week that they were going to settle with those Chinese laborers, and they gave them an apology as well, although a few days later. But you know, some good news there. Some cool things about some body add-on, like an exosuit that allows like paralyzed people to walk, stuff like that. An interesting summary from on why Japan hangs tough on the history issue, and it kind of points out the issues that make it difficult for Japan to come clean sometimes, and you know the political realities in China and South Korea about things like just coming clean on all the history stuff, which I always say Japan has done multiple times, but it's just it's not just Japan that has the issues with these things. I made some awesome music. I'm going to try to make some more music during the week actually. It's one thing I was able to do last time. I made some really good stuff, but thank you Man in Japan for using on your fireworks video a track which I made for you actually, which he asked me to make a video for fireworks, and I thought about, well, what would that sound like, and I made it, and it was actually pretty good, even if I do say so myself. 6 phases of living in Japan for the long run. Interesting video there being covered by Rocket News, so that's a good one to go and have a look. The big news this week, of course, about the Toshiba accounting scandal, which is another one, just like the Olympus one. People, when this happened with Enron, everyone focused on who were the auditors, which of course was Arthur Andersen there, and it brought down that company. With Olympus in here as well, people seem to be giving the auditors a bit of a free ride as one of the comments, but there are a number of blogs which are pointing out it was Ernst & Young in Japan, and it's going to be really interesting to see if the shareholders accept their explanation for how they hid, what was it, 780 million pounds, 151 billion yen of false profit reporting. So it's going to be something to follow. Huge scandal, of course. I uploaded my video during the week of the maglev in Shanghai. I'm not going to Shanghai, I'm going to Dalian this time. It was pretty cool. I actually recorded going at 300 kilometers per hour, but apparently it also sometimes runs at 430, which I now regret I missed. But yeah, some more articles on most influential YouTubers. Of course, there was VidCon this week. That was pretty big, and a lot of announcements were made around that, including things like they're going to be allowing 3D 360 videos, so you'll have full virtual reality. Some things like they're adding editing features to the YouTube mobile app, although I don't understand why there's still no YouTube Hangout on Air. I'd love to do this as a Hangout on Air for my iPhone, which you can do on just about every other service, but you can't do that with this, so I don't know why that is. Some information on getting Wi-Fi access, prepaid SIM cards, all that sort of stuff, just useful information. Actually, I went and got a Chinese phone so I could do that in China. So that's kind of cool. I'm actually kind of curious about that myself. So, some good information there. Kind of cool that arguably the coolest Shinkansen has actually been around for like 20 years now. It's the 500 series, which runs on the Sanyo line between Osaka and Fukuoka. I've never ridden it before, but it looks like an F-16. It's got a real kind of circular kind of shape. Well, they're actually running a special edition of that, where they're making them all based on the Neon Genesis Evangelion theme. So that's getting a lot of excitement. If you're going to be going anywhere between Fukuoka and Osaka, it's a good reason to go and get on that. The acquisition of the Financial Times has been interesting. Particularly, it was kind of funny to see how the Guardian, kind of a liberal newspaper, the next day put the British flag on their front page saying, British owned and British edited and all this sort of stuff. Not working for the Japanese. There is an underlying nastiness still that exists in British culture about this idea that Japanese were terrible. The whole linkage to the war and all that sort of stuff. And the Japanese are not to be trusted. It still goes through. So the idea of the acquisition, there's a slightly xenophobic undertone, even in the Guardian of all things. I mean, if you looked at the sudden patriotism in the Guardian, you'd think that the British National Party had suddenly joined the editorial board. But yeah, they. Oh, that's my flight. I've got to go board soon. Okay, I'm going to keep doing this very, very quickly. But in any case, the Nikkei, although a lot of people are critical of it not being very aggressive with its, particularly around the Olympus scandal and so on, there's some qualms about that. At the same time, it is what is disappearing everywhere else. It is a successful print newspaper, which is in essence still what the Financial Times is. So I think it's good for the journalists in the Financial Times. And damn, that's noisy, isn't it? I'm sorry about that. Oh, it's not my flight. So it's a good relationship for both. It's going to take up 16 years worth of profits for Nikkei. So they're looking at it future forward as an example of a site that was able to transition to digital newspapers pretty well. At the same time, I think for people working at Financial Times, I think they're going to be hands off. I really do. And I think it's going to be good because they're not, as so many other newspapers do it, throwing journalists and photographers and people under the bus to switch to becoming a lean internet newspaper. They're still a serious newspaper, and they're happy to sacrifice profits to do that. So I think there's good and bad. There's interesting coverage on this from the New York Times, which I've got an article in my Flipboard for, which I think is worth reading. So yeah, this thing. Yeah. I got to show this. This picture's been going around on the internet about the Fukushima daisies. So this was a photo of a natural genetic deformity which occurs anywhere with daisies. Very rare that it happens. And it was taken 80 miles, which, if I understand my metric conversions well enough, it's like 120 kilometers away, half the distance between Tokyo and Fukushima. That they found this one flower, and instantly, it's radiation panic across the internet, which of course is complete BS. The ambient radiation in this area isn't elevated. Frankly, it's the same as everywhere else, and probably lower than a lot of parts of America and Europe. And it's one flower. If there are a whole bunch of these flowers right near the plant or in the evacuation zone, which by the way is no longer evacuated, you can go back into it now. Yeah, that'd be pretty alarming, but 80 miles away and one flower, are you kidding? But as usual, don't let that get in the way of a good two-headed fish story. So yeah, that's another BS story going around the internet to just look out for. And that's it. Those are the big stories. Of course, I've got 6 Flipboard magazines, which you can see here. I've got my all my articles, as well as Japanese stuff that I've picked out, Japan-related stuff in English, YouTube and tech. Got a lot of stuff in there actually this week about YouTube news, and as well as, of course, the Pluto stuff, which has been awesome. Love that. As well as my own content and recommended videos. So I've got some pretty good Flipboard magazines. So check those. Be cool. I do have to board a plane pretty soon, and I just saw upstairs, I'm going on a flight to China, and they do actually sell rice cookers in the airport, so the overhead baggage is probably going to get crazy. Everyone's shopping and buying souvenirs, so usually I'm kind of the cool kid and I get on last, but ain't going to happen this time. I'm going to get on. I'm going to line up as early as possible because I might not get my stuff into the overhead otherwise. So yeah, I'm going to be slightly incommunicado. I might be able to use a VPN from work to occasionally do updates and stuff like that. But yeah, other than that, I'm going to be quiet this week. So enjoy this Tokyo Tonight today. It's going to be a little bit earlier. I'm going to see if I can schedule it, but if I can't, yeah, I'll just upload it. Enjoy Jason's show. He's going to have a good show. He's always on from 10 o'clock on Sunday nights. My Argonauts. He does a live show. And of course, today is the final day of the current sumo tournament, which is going to be, the final match is going to be a outcome decider. It is like the best thing ever, Kakuryu versus Hakuho. So he's going to have, I'm sure, a lot of excitement about that. Go the All Blacks, beat South Africa. Awesome game last night, although I really wish we would save those awesome games for the World Cup itself and not win before the World Cup and lose in the World Cup like we do every time. But it was still an awesome game. I sacrificed sleep to watch it, jeopardized getting on my flight on time, but I did it. That's about it. So okay, I'm going to see you guys in about a week, and it's going to be pretty quiet. Victor is in America, that's why we're not doing 2.5 Voyages at the moment. So, you know, it is kind of summer holiday mode. Not holiday for me, I'm working, but all good. So I'll see you guys later. Do check out my SoundCloud. I've updated my SoundCloud. I actually re-uploaded all the files with the file name showing the name of the song. Some people are talking about that. So I did that, and one thing I do want to do while I'm away is do some more organization, put up some more loops. I really like to make a web page which just organizes the files into, you know, things like tracks which are good for vlogs, tracks which are good for, you know, action videos and stuff like that, time lapses, and I've kind of got an idea on that. So we'll see how much I get done anyway. It's going to be hard when I'm incommunicado during the week, but you guys all have a good week. Enjoy the summer. It's crazy hot at the moment. I'm very glad to be getting away from 36 degrees in summer. I always say don't go between now and the YouTube party. Come for the YouTube party on September 5th, but don't come before then because Tokyo is just going to be insanely hot for this whole next month. But today is like the hottest day in a long time, actually. So yeah, I'll be going north of North Korea to the city of Dalian, which should be a little bit cooler at least. The air quality there is meant to be pretty good. So yeah, I'll tell you all about it when I get back. I'll see you next Sunday. Peace, bro.